Denise has agreed to move through a Vata-pacifying practice. So when would you want a Vata-pacifying class? Well, in a Vata-aggravating world that we live in, where movement is the energy, the dosha that is prevalent at most of the time, we want to ground, to slow down. So we bring you to this space where there is plenty of water and earth. So that in itself alone is your asana, is your invitation to be present. So to the degree that you can imagine such a space or place yourself in such a space, then there is um, your Vata pacifying tool. Otherwise, we're going to take you through a little bit of movement where we are focusing on the sacrum. All right, so we have this triangle here, few tiny muscles right at the very base of the spine and right at the coccyx, the very, very base. And we are going to bring more attention to that area as a tool for grounding. And we're going to do it gradually, mindfully, so as to pacify the excess activity that is a result of Vata dosha in excess. Vata dosha in excess is expressed as insomnia, nervousness, agitation, anxiety, worry, and so on. All right, Denise, so I'm going to have you lying down, facing the sky, the beautiful blue sky we have here today. You can remove your blanket altogether. You will want a block for this, okay? And then go ahead and stretch your arms out in a way that feels good and just take the time to feel the earth beneath you, and like you can relax your feet for now and just really feel the earth beneath the body, supporting the body, because that alone is very pacifying, calming to excess movement of the mind. Just notice how you feel in this shape at this time. The idea is that as we move through the asana, the different things that we will do, when you come back to this place, you are even more connected to the earth. So now I'm going to invite you to bend your legs so that your feet are on the ground. Good. And then I'm going to invite you to bring your hips up ever so slightly so as to slide that block underneath, and we're going to slide in the lowest point like this. So the block is going to be right underneath the sacrum. Let me know if it's there. So the coccyx, the tail is tilting down a little bit. You feel that? Good. Now the feet, you want to use the feet as an anchor. So bring your feet a little further apart so that they're hip width apart. Good. And the knees stay stacked, so just directly out of your hips. And now press down onto your feet so as to almost, you're not lifting the sacrum off of the block right now, but you're imagining that the block is lifting the sacrum up as opposed to you pressing down onto the sacrum. Use your imagination to consider that. And as we move the body, it will become more clear, I trust. So now, take your arms on either side of your hips. Good. And now use the backs of the shoulders and the backs of the arms to press down and to gain length through the spine as you encourage the spine to move towards your knees. And as you encourage the spine to move towards the knee, continue to press down onto your feet. Press down onto your feet. Is there any crunching, contracting experience going on in the lumbar? Or does it feel nice and long? Nice and long? Okay, good. So now with this, feeling nice and long there, go ahead and draw the right knee towards your chest. Good. Go ahead and hug the shin. And as you draw it with both arms, and as you draw the shin towards the right ribs, you're bringing a bit of contact with the low intestines on the right side. And that's very soothing to Vata, because Vata is primarily placed here in the low abdomen. So a little massaging of the internal organs is very helpful. If it's available to you, go ahead and straighten your left leg. Good. And as you straighten that leg, you continue to press the toes straight up ahead as you are right now, but you may even want to tilt the toes in as if your other foot was still here, so towards that other foot, yes. And as you tilt it in, do you notice that you can open and broaden more through the lumbar? A little bit, not really. So the idea is that by tilting the toe in, you can release more of the low back. Good. Are you still breathing? Very nice. And now go ahead and bring that leg that you straightened back in, bent. Good. And then take the other leg down. And now let's switch sides. So drawing the left knee in towards you. Good. So now you're getting into the low intestines on the left side, which is the descending one. So ideally you do it in this order. Ascending intestines, right side first, massaging that area, and then descending intestines later, massaging that area. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and straighten that right leg, the toes pointing straight ahead, the foot is active. And now go ahead and tilt the toes towards the midline, the toes of the straight leg tilted in towards the midline. Uh, so if that other foot was straight, you'll be tilting it towards that other foot. Yes, and then see if that releases a little bit more on the lumbar. But there's no crunching on the lumbar, right? So avoid lifting the hip of the leg that's bent, lifting it towards the waistline, lifting it towards the shoulders. Keep the length on both sides. Breathe. And when you're ready, go ahead and bend that straight leg. Bring that other leg down to the ground. Beautiful. So now pressing down through the feet, you're going to lift the hips off of the block and maybe take the block up to a higher level. So stay right there where you are. So from this to this. And then make sure that the sacrum is directly above that block. Is it? Good. All right. From here, do you want to scoot down a little bit so that your head is on the mat, or you're okay there? Yeah. Okay. So having the block underneath the sacrum is instantly going to be soothing and calming to the excess movement of the mind, but don't do it at the expense of crunching and contracting the lumbar. So make sure that that area is nice and long. So again, envision where the coccyx is, right at the bottom of the sacrum, and lengthen it down and out towards, for us, towards the water. Good. All right, so then from here, we're going to take that right leg and we're just going to straighten it all the way down. This time, yes, straight and strong. Good. Extending out through the toes. And then pressing down on the leg that's bent and evening out the hips a little bit more if you can. You experiencing that? Good. So using what you got at the base to discover more space in the body. Excellent. All right, now bend that straight leg and straighten the left leg. Yeah, nice. So right away, notice the tendency that may be there to splay out the left toes. And then that would compress the lumbar. So keep those toes straight ahead, and if not, or even if possible, tilting towards the other side, the other leg. So turning the toes this way. No, the toes of the straight leg. You can only move it so much. Just it's very subtle movement, but it will encourage that lumbar to open up a little bit more. Now do the same thing we did on the other side. Really press down on the bent leg, the right leg, and even out the hips as much as you can. Do they feel even? Okay, excellent. Good. Now go ahead and bend that straight leg. Nice. Press down through the feet and lift the hips off the ground. Maybe you stay where you are with the block, or maybe you take it even higher. Let's see how it feels for you to take it even higher. Yeah, so you notice he's coming up on his toes, and then the block right underneath the sacrum still. No compression on the low back. If there's compression on the low back, it's too high, so it defeats the purpose, right? So come back to that lower level. So then from here is a beautiful opportunity to use this length that you have to ground even more through the legs. So pressing down on the mounts of the big toes, the feet are directly below the knees. Good. And then this opening in the area of the abdomen, especially the lower abdomen. So between the hip bone and the ribs, you can access a little bit more space. Can you feel that? And that's very helpful to release the tension, the tightness that can happen in the low abdomen region when there is all this excess movement of the mind. From here, again, straighten out that right leg. Again, press strongly through the bent leg and square the hips. You notice he has his hands clasped. Maybe that works for you on the back of the block. But in either case, press down through the part of the arms and shoulder that's in contact with the ground so you can lift more through the sternum. Because this is a back bend. It's a beautiful opportunity to do a back bend in a grounded way, right? Because back bends are very invigorating, very opening. But when you are stabilizing the sacrum in this way, it's much more grounded. So go ahead and bring that leg back in and let's switch sides. Left leg straightens. Good. So now again, press down through the leg that's bent. In this case is the right leg, and square the hips. So more likely than not, you're going to need to nudge that right hip down a little bit more. Is that right? Good. Beautiful. Keep breathing. How are you feeling? Low back is okay? There should be no tension, no pressure on the low back whatsoever. Just release through the abdomen, especially the lower abdomen. Go ahead and bend that left leg. Good. Press down through the feet. Press down through the feet. Lift the hips off of the block, just even slightly. Good. And we're going to go back to the lower level. So wherever level you are, go to one lower level. We're going to make our way back down. Go ahead and bring it down. Make sure that the knees don't splay out. So keep the integrity of all this alignment. To work with alignment is really wonderful for Vata. It's a wonderful way to pacify because it provides structure. And where there's structure, then the Vata, who has all this wind, all this air, all this creativity, can then channel it, utilize it in a way that's more rewarding instead of just scattered. All right, this time we'll do the left leg first just for the purposes of the camera to see. What we're going to do is we're going to move that left leg into Virasana. So you're going to bring that left foot back towards your hip. Okay, and then drop the knee down as much as you can. Instead of pointing the toe, go ahead and flex the toe. Yeah, and drop the knee towards the ground. So the block is a little bit low to be able to do this for you here, but what if you bend, what if you press more onto the right foot? Press more into the right foot. Yeah, we don't want to go back up on the higher block. So if Virasana is available where you can drop the knee at the level of the hip, then this is a nice way to go back down. But this for you here, you would have to have the block a little bit higher, but we're making our way back down. So just being here is good. How's this on your knee? It's good. Okay, then go ahead and release. Leg is still bent. Leg is still bent. Beautiful. And then go ahead and take the right leg back. And draw the knee closer to the midline. So the midline is the center of your body. Beautiful. Good. So you feel the opening through the front of the thigh? So here you're just opening up the front of the thigh to the degree that you can. If there's tension on the knee joint, if this compresses the lumbar, then you let it go. Breathe. And then the leg back bent neutral, both feet on the ground, both legs bent. Take a moment here. Breathe. And making our way down once more, let's go ahead and lift the hip up, lower the block to the lowest level, unless you are already there. And then here, go ahead and bring your feet up for Viparita Karani. Good. Right. So the block is underneath the sacrum. The tail is moving down, and the feet are shooting straight up. And your gaze, your drishti, is here between the two toes. Breathing. And here you can stay quite a while. Even 20 minutes would be so grounding and soothing to any mind that's in overdrive or any kind. But just for the purposes of demonstrating, we're going to go ahead and bend the legs again and bring the feet back down. Legs bent. Nice. Good. And then lifting the hips up again. We're going to remove the block altogether. Good. Boy. And now from here, we'll just do a nice little twist just to neutralize the spine from all this extension. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Good. And now bring the arms out to the side. And then tilt the body so that that right foot ends up on the ground. Good. And you can use that left hand to grab a hold of that right ankle. Yeah. And so now here, with this twist, encourage the right ribs, front, side, and back to drop towards the ground. And encourage the right hip to lift up off of the waistline. Lift up. And if you want, tilt all the way towards that right foot. Turn all the way. Actually, bring your arm with you. Bring your torso with you. Keep turning until you have both forearms on the mat itself, but leave the foot out there. Good. And now from here, go ahead and straighten that bottom leg. Excellent. And then peel your torso off of the pelvis. How does that feel on the low back? So pressing down with that top foot, engaging through that bottom leg, peel the whole torso off of the pelvic floor. You notice that you may be putting a little bit more weight on that left forearm. See if you can encourage the right forearm to take a little bit more of the weight so that it's more balanced. How's that? Beautiful. All right, then let's come back to lying down on your back. Legs bent. Arms out to the side. Good. Cross the leg over. Nice. And then from here, turn. Use that right hand to catch the outside of the ankle on the left side. And then here, as before, the left ribs, front, side, and back. Make them heavy along with the shoulder. Moving towards the ground, and then the left hip, allow it to spiral up and around. So a little bit more space here along the waistline. This will free up the lumbar, but it's also going to be a nice little gift you give to the internal organs, yeah? Give them the chance to have more space. So I'll get out of the way now so that you can tilt all the way if you like, as you did on the other side. Beautiful. And then eventually make your way so that the forearms are on the ground. The bottom leg straightens. Yeah. And then press down onto that left leg, the top leg. And press down into both forearms equally as much without tensing up the shoulders. And then the pelvis is really stable with both legs working strong. And now go ahead and peel the torso off of the legs. Peel the torso off of the legs. The neck is long. Breathe through that. How does that feel? All right. And now as you're ready, find your way back as we did earlier. And let's go ahead and place a blanket under the head. If you have a blanket handy, then the blanket goes under the head. Good. You want to lift the head up a little bit, release the shoulders a little bit, make sure that the neck is well supported here. And then bend the legs again, just back to where we first started. And just notice the difference. Notice the contact between the parts of the body that are on the ground and the earth itself. Do you feel that you are in closer contact with the ground? Do you? You do? He must really be wanting that cigar or that Cuban girl. All right, from here, if you feel comfortable on the lumbar to straighten out the legs, do that. Good. And now, if you have an extra blanket handy, it's a wonderful thing to do to protect the body from the wind. Vata is made up of wind. And so an antidote for that is a nice warm blanket over the body. So I'm going to give him a chance to release, let go, and really soak in the benefits of his practice. And I invite you to do the same. Thank you for joining us. Namaste. And for more Vata-Pacifying tools, look at my playlist on Vata-Pacifying. Namaste.